Welcome back to the Ambition Over Fear portal. I'm Atlas Opia, and I help people expand their interdimensional knowledge. In today's video, I'm going to be revealing a technique you can use to quantum jump easier, and then providing you with an understanding of how reality works from a metaphysical level, so while you're shifting energy, you have more empowerment. If you're back on this channel, definitely consider subscribing, and if you're new here, check out the rest of my videos afterwards if you enjoy breaking down the universe and the pieces that come together to make it happen. So, to jump right into it, before we understand how we can shift from one reality to another, from one version of ourselves to another, we have to understand the field of energy that we're plugged into. Because once we get an understanding of how something works, we have a better time functioning in that thing and changing the way we're relating to it. So energy creates matter, right? And what ends up happening is there is a template of energy. There is a structure of information that then translates into matter or translates into a result on a particular dimension. It's almost like you're drawing and you first grab a stencil, and then once you have the stencil on that piece of paper, you then can continue to fill in the lines and create what is wanting to be created. So the stencil is the energy. Once you plug into a certain structure of energy, the universe which you're creating in starts to give you reflecting energy to fill in that stencil. And so that structure is really your beliefs about yourself and the world around you. You deciding in this moment that reality is fluid and the external world is simply a manifestation of your internal world. So once you can plug into a new way of being, you can say to yourself, okay, reality is simply a projection of me. So I'm going to change the energy inside of my system and feel into the energy of my desires, and then believe that I am existing in a reality where those manifestations are real. And that structure of energy, which is the feelings that come with our manifestations occurring, that is going to be the template and the stencil that the universe continually sends energy to make whole. So that is very important to know, that energy creates matter. So when you're jumping into a new parallel reality or you're quantum jumping, you're simply telling the field of energy that you exist in, hey, I'm going to vibrate at a new frequency. And whenever you vibrate at a different frequency, there is a different chain reaction. There is a different amount of experiences, people, thoughts, feelings that come with that initial shift. So that's kind of a way to look at, quantum jumping, is you're simply deciding to change the blueprint at which the universe is filling in for you. Because yes, you do have that right with your masculine energy to create an idea of what you want and to make decisions that can reflect where you want to go. And then you create habits around these actions that lead you to what you're manifesting. But the feminine is allowing your higher self, the guides that are here to protect you, and the field of energy that you're creating in, to respond to the signal you're setting out, and putting you in a place of receptivity where you're not worrying, where you're letting go and you're trusting. And that can allow you to shift from, I used to do everything this way, this is who I have believed myself to be, to I can decide who I am, and I can decide to exist on this planet in any way that makes my heart glow. So that quantum jump does require you at first to focus on the energy rather than the external world, because the external world is a byproduct of the energy in your system and the beliefs you have about certain areas of life, how you see your life to be, and who you view yourself in this world are all information. They're energetic information that create a program of your subconscious mind. And we know that we are thinking primarily from that hidden system, because 70 to 85% of our thoughts are subconscious. So once we decide to look at the external world as a delayed effect off of the energy that we're vibrating at, we're less worried, there's less fear, because you can feel into your manifestations and a version of life that you know you deserve, even though the external world around you may be in reflection of an old structure of energy and an old belief system and paradigm. The external world is the effect, and the cause is the energy that you're deciding to associate with. So what can come up to stop us from doing this, right? One is when we come into the collective, we absorb and merge into the program of thinking that was available at that time. So when your soul reincarnated into Earth, you passed through the matrix, which is not good or bad. The matrix is what allows us to experience this third dimensional simulation. Any distaste you have for that word comes from what you have experienced in this simulation, not the simulation itself. But when you came in, when you were born, you tapped into the collective and you adapted to that default state. Now, you might have had some unique beliefs and characteristics, but that was running in the background. So now we're all plugging in to what we see the world to be. And every single time people on Earth decide to see this planet as something unique, and somebody else also sees the planet in that same way, Earth splits off into a different accessible timeline where the structure of energy that is being built off of is different. So you can tell sometimes that when you're around like-minded people, you all have this very high vibration and you're all moving towards the same direction, and you view the world in a way based on pronoia that this is a sandbox here to give you a demonstration of the magical powers inside of you and to allow your manifestations to become real in a third dimensional way. And then you have other people in the world that are all joined together, but they may be living in a different way, and the world and the simulation of Earth may be giving them different experiences. When the themes are very different, the energy will be different, allowing Earth to have different versions that people can tap into. So the same way that you are in this body, but there are different versions of yourself that are available to you. And so release the idea that just because you're experiencing the world in a solid state, right? That does not mean that the things you're seeing cannot be changed. We have to get used to understanding that our consciousness is going to pivot between different dimensions. So when you're asking a question or you're in a conversation, know, are you in the position of your third dimensional self, or are you in the position of your higher dimensional self? Both are valuable. Nothing is better or worse. But when you're aware of that, you can realize that things seem solid from your third dimensional point of view. So you can experience Earth and reality in the 3D in a non-interrupted way. So you can feel the solidification of energy around you. But then when you're in your higher dimensional self, realize that the minute you see a version of yourself experiencing something or having a particular way of living, if you've ever had that thought of, what if I had this profession? What if I had this amount of finances? What if I felt like this? You are basically connecting to the field that is unseen to the physical eyes, but you can feel into it with your third eye, which is the way your body's connected to the universe. And the field will then create a storyline based off of that one thought, where that point of change that you've decided to think, what if, you've decided to momentarily feel that idea of what if this was possible, that then creates a whole different trajectory of life. So all you really have to do is decide that reality is simply your energy getting to be seen. It's not static, it's not solid, it's not concrete in the way we're going to look at it. It's based off of the energy you're choosing to vibrate in. So decide to look at a storyline, view in your imagination, how would life look if all of these manifestations were real? How would I feel? And what thoughts and experiences would come after that thing became? And start just believing that's what's happening right now. Choose to live from that story. It's not going to be consistent. You're going to have to reaffirm that. The thing I do is 3 times a day, I place myself in that parallel reality. I feel into the storyline of what I want to create, because time is not real in the third dimension. Time allows the third dimension to become consistent, past, present, or future. But what I mean is it's not real in the higher dimensions, it's just location. So you can take your consciousness and move to a point in time that may be in the future where you're experiencing all these things. And then bring that into your body, feel into it, look around you and say, okay, I'm looking at the world and I'm observing life through my 5 senses in the story of this manifestation being real, this manifestation being real, and this manifestation being real. And you elaborate on that energy, you allow yourself to flow into it, and you start to experience the world from that position. You'll start to look at things from how that version of you would look at things. And when the other timeline comes up, you simply recognize that this may be a calling to heal what had happened to you in the past, so you cannot judge it or try to, dismiss the emotions and the feelings that you had a right to feel during that time that your shadow wants to get you to acknowledge. And also realize that when your fears do come up, or the idea of this may or may not happen, or the worrying, it's okay for you to feel that. You do not have to give your fear the purpose that it will stop the other manifestations from happening. Just because you're feeling a version of you that is scared and fearful and worried does not mean that that particular storyline is going to interrupt all the energy you've been putting into a parallel reality that reflects a version of you which is more desirable, that has all the manifestations done and completed. Thank you guys for being a part of this video. I make videos every Tuesday and Thursday. Definitely subscribe if you're looking for a way to follow your soul's calling to expand into a new level of consciousness, but you're not exactly sure how to explain that to your mind. And I also want to tell you that if you're in a place where you're remembering information, you feel a calling to your starseed reincarnation, and you know that you're supposed to be using your metaphysical powers on Earth with more power and strategy, then consider my galactic quantum coaching. We'll all go into your system and find out the point you're at in your journey and how to get you to the next step, and then how to get you to the step after that. And all this is a combination of different things we have to work through that I'm going to extract and feel into with my psychic nature based on the energetic connections in your physical realm, emotional, mental, and spiritual. And I also have a list of interdimensional skills, so the starseeds that are reincarnating here can explain to their human mind a way to approach transmuting energy and creating energy and shifting that vibration in this dimension or a higher one, because your calling to create might look different once you allow your akashic records to be opened up and you can merge the galactic timelines and power that you're meant to tap into now. Well, thank you guys for being here. Remember to stay in peace, simplicity, and always remember that it's more about letting go of the idea that reality works a certain way and that you don't have this power than trying to summon it. It's already there. The timeline you want to experience already exists. Because the minute you had that thought, that doorway opened in the quantum field, and that storyline is now available. You just have to allow yourself to feel into it and not consistently need the validation of the third dimensional world, because it will take time to translate. All right, bye.